Come on in, you guys. You've been in here recently, but you haven't had a real fall cottage tour, so I thought it might be fun to show you around and point out some really subtle but I think important seasonal changes that I've made. And when I say important, that mostly means that it gives me a little happiness boost, a little burst of joy, because when you live in a large space, and especially if you live in a smaller space like mine, I think change is important, because if you're looking at the same things all of the time, I think it can just make you get a little stale. And so for me, it's fun to rotate things in and out, to have seasonal expressions in every room, and it just is fun. Let's put it that way, it's just fun. So my question of the day is, what kind of seasonal changes, large or small, do you make in your own home decor, or maybe in your garden decor, in your personal spaces? Because inquiring minds want to know. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's take a little break and we'll be back, and I'll start pointing out some of the switcheroos I've made in my own house. Now make sure you stay until the end, because I came up with, is kind of in it, maybe ingenious, maybe nutty, but it does kind of work, gardening hack. So I'll show you guys that at the end, because it came to me as I was kind of puttering and trying to get everything cleaned up for you guys to come and visit. So this year my theme kind of was skeletons. I have this little guy here sitting on top of all of these, I believe these are fairy tale pumpkins that I got from bricks. It's kind of understated. It's not, you know, there's not a lot of extra gory, layered, heavy stuff going on here for Halloween. Just a few little touches that I think speak to the cottage. Definitely my favorite thing this year were these heads that I showed you earlier. They look kind of like they're rattan to me, or wicker. I got these from Walmart. This is one of the things that I showed you was that 2 or 3 weeks ago, Stuart? Yeah, when I was pointing out some of the Halloween things that I got, and then just baby boo pumpkins, and then the scariest thing were these wisteria pods that just popped absolutely everywhere. And I still need to ask John about that. One of you came up with a brilliant idea of spray painting some of these and then using them as ornaments on your Christmas tree, because of this kind of helix shape that they have. And they could, I don't know, they could kind of look like ice droppings or something like that. And that was a great idea. Very, very clever of you. So just a couple of other touches. I have to point out this really beautiful blue and white cashpo that a garden visitor brought me not too long ago, and I think it looks especially sweet with this little 4-inch pot of yellow mums. I got this, I think, at Trader Joe's, and I think it looks really sweet, and I love yellow and blue. I love that yellow and blue combo. Tell me what you guys think about that. And then, as I also pointed out to you, I've got some of my favorite autumnal autumn garden books out. This has been one that I've had for years, and I look at it just to really flip through the pages of all of the color tones, because I think it's just so beautiful. And it also reminds me to actually look at the books that I have. So I've got some of those that are just scattered around throughout, really just throughout the entire parlor, and not just the parlor, I guess, but the entire cottage, so that I can enjoy them whenever I have a second to just pick them up, take a sip of coffee, look at a book, and it's a nice little, just a nice little moment of happiness. So over here I've got more of my skeletal skull creatures. And they, I don't know, I just kind of like the way they look. And this one looked to me like it needed some kind of crown. And so I just made a little crown out of better boxwood. And I think it's especially fun to do that during the holidays around Christmas time, when you could have that with a little bit of red berry tucked in. And if you've got any kind of statues, any kind of that kind of ornamentation in your house, I think that's kind of fun. Slowly, most of my wicker purses and bags and things that I typically keep out here, because I think they're attractive as well as functional, those will go to the back, but right now I'm still using some of them. And then I made a decision. So one of the things that I miss most about my other house, and even when I was at that house, I wished I had more of it, and that was pointed areas where I could display things, seasonal arrangements, seasonal decor, where you could see it as soon as you walked in. You could really, really appreciate it. And finally, I realized that for me, I used to have, as you recall, I had a tray on here and it had some wine glasses and things, and I've moved that over to the corner to that wonderful little basket tray that's in the corner, because now this is where I can have, I think, a beautiful floral display, and it doesn't always have to be quite this big, but as long as it's small enough so if you want to check yourself in the mirror, you can still kind of do that. And this one was inspired by these really deep garnet colors. I think they're absolutely beautiful. So these are just traditional carnations. I got these from Trader Joe's, and then I just paired them with like colored cuttings from my garden. This red Husker's Pentstemon, some orange rocket barberry, some of these little spires of that. I've got some Thai basil in here. And then probably my favorite clipping of the season, and I'll show you where I get it in a little outtake. In fact, maybe we could put it right here, Stuart. I'll show you where I get these wonderful clippings. And these are just Bradford pear guys, but they're whatever the varieties that puts out the little fruits, and I like them because they kind of remind me of apple leaves and apple branches. And so I added that to this composition. What else did I put in here? Oh, and here's a perfect example, Stuart, of some of those little tiny fruits. Can you see those in there?
Little blueberries.
Yeah. So I like that. And then because I wanted to pick up that chartreusey green that was in the center of these mums, I took some more clippings of that better boxwood basil or better boxwood and stuck that in there. And I think it kind of just illuminates the whole thing, brings a nice contrast of light against the dark. And well, let's just say it pleases me. The other thing I did, I can't remember when you guys were here last, is I rearranged the furniture again. So now I have the settee here. It was running there before, and I moved that overstuffed chair into that south window because when it gets cold, that's really where I like to sit, because I like a cat. That warm southern sun comes in and it just feels absolutely yummy. And then a few minor switch outs, I guess. I put away my plaid linen pillow covers and I brought out these velvet ones. These are from Pottery Barn that I bought on eBay. And I've got another large velveteen pillow in my basket, my blanket and pillow basket. And you can just throw those on the floor. You can, if you get cold, you can pull a throw out. And I think that's really, I don't know, I think it's just kind of fun and kind of nice. And then what I'm most excited about is my new butterfly edition. And I anticipate that I might have a few more because I've got some space. And this was from, this was painted by an upcoming guest who will be one of our first interviewees, and Ricky, I just absolutely love it, and it just came back today. Actually, Stuart very kindly picked it up for me from the framers. So that's kind of what's going on here in the parlor. Again, when the season changes towards winter time, I'll do probably another little tour and show you what other changes have been made, but let's take a break here and then we'll move on to other parts of the cottage. Okay, we'll come this way. Happily, my neighbor and friend Lori has given me permission to cut some of the branches off of her tree, and I always try to get the ones that are low growing, and I actually like the ones that have this kind of mottled look to them, like this one here. Yeah, right here.
They all have a cool look.
Yeah, like that one there, and this one that has just a tinge. Here we go.
There, that's easier.
There a tinge of red to them. But what I like is I just love the profile of the branches. They kind of naturally arc. And look there, see there's just the sweet little fruits on them. The other thing that I like about these is that they dry really beautifully, I think. And I like that quality about them. I mean, you can use them in fresh flower arrangements, but I like to use them as fruit or with fruit as kind of a leaf substitute, as if they were the leaves that were growing on the fruit branch itself. So I've got just a couple of these. This is where I get them. It's nice to have friends with things to clip.
Ample supply.
Yes, an ample supply in addition to the things in my own garden. So let's go back and use them a few other places. Okay, so let's go into the kitchen, which is where I have another very important question for a very specific follower out there. So when John Turman was here, when we discussed the possibility of doing some kind of framing here where I would have a little bit more privacy in the kitchen and it would define the space a little bit more, some kind of panel. And I got a wonderful recommendation from somebody in San Francisco. So if you are that person, it even says divider wall suggestion on the envelope. And by the way, I have received so many cards and letters recently. Maybe because it's cooler, people are moving inside, but just so many and so many visitors. So they sent me a recommendation with a full illustration. This person was a designer for decades and would have cabinet makers at his disposal. But can you just see that here? Wouldn't that be really cool? And trimmed out. A wood divider, painted or wood stained, brass screening, and he even gave me a couple of sources, or she, I don't know, gave me a couple of sources for where I could get that brass screening to match the kitchen storage hardware. And I mean, isn't that incredible?
Thoughtful.
Now, very thoughtful.
Very thoughtful, yeah.
The only not thoughtful thing was there's no name on it. I don't have any idea who this person is in San Francisco that sent me this brilliant idea. So if you are, and there's nothing on the envelope either. So if you are that person, please let me know, because I want to thank you.
Yes,
I
thank you.
actually have an appointment set up with someone already to look at the possibility of executing something like this. It made it much easier for me to envision what might go on in terms of the detailing of it.
Show people one more time.
Yeah, just one more time. And then I guess I didn't really show very carefully. See the kind of mesh, brass mesh, and I may do that, or I may do clear glass or something. I'm not really sure, but she gave me different alternatives even on where I can find that brass mesh. So I mean, what a thoughtful person, in addition to the many thoughtful people out there who I don't often enough get a chance to thank you for your kindnesses, for the notes you send me, and for the gifts you bring by and send me. So thank you. Okay, but back to my branches. So this is probably my favorite thing I have done this fall. I just love this old beaten up wood cake stand. I think I got it at a thrift store. I can't even remember. And then these are just gala apples that I have in a pyramid on top of the cake stand. But doesn't it kind of look like these are branches off of an apple tree? And I love the image that evokes, and I love the story that evokes, and I love the way it looks even when the foliage begins to dry. I just like the way it looks. What can I say? To some people it might look messy, but to me it kind of looks poetic. And so I have used that foliage and those branches in a number of different places in the cottage as kind of the undergirding for my decor when I want softness or things like that. And if you come back here, I'll show you another area where I used it. Again, these are all small things. You guys probably have decor that is far more impressive than mine, but these little things make me happy. And a friend of mine came over for cocktails and appetizers the other night, and this was her favorite thing. She just liked the simplicity of the pumpkins and the skull and, I don't know, the oranginess of it. So let's go back into the kitchen. This is very fun. So both, had several people love these vases that we saw at Urbane. Do you remember, Stuart, that we saw at Urbane? In addition to Leah, my daughter-in-law absolutely loves these. Deborah absolutely loved these, and they came in a couple of different designs. I'm going to have to check them out. But I have been really, it's been interesting to me, the number of people who have gravitated towards these almost immediately upon coming into the kitchen. And then this little guy was from Target, but now it has kind of a Methuselah look, kind of a growing green head of hair that in kind of Halloween-y tones that I think is kind of fun. And then, boy, I need to blow this candle out and shorten that wick. But this is one of those fabulous Santa Rosa candles that my friend Deborah got me onto. And this will stay lit pretty much whenever I am home all winter long. It's got an absolutely beautiful flame. The dark sootiness of it notwithstanding, that's why I need to trim the wick. But these are absolutely beautiful, really high quality wax, and they are a staple in my house over the winter time. This is a brand new candle that I bought when I was in Santa Fe last, and I brought it home, and I just brought it out especially for you guys today. So let's take a little break and I'll be right back. So you can see all of that smoke, and this is the importance of cutting the wick so that you don't get that really, really tall flame. It's also important on any kind of candles that you make sure that the wick is as straight as possible. And as soon as I cut this wick, I'm going to relight this candle because I want that well to grow. Otherwise, if I stopped now, then it would just keep going down vertically and I wouldn't get the superficial surface melt.
I've run into that problem so many times.
Okay, so I'm going to clip this, and it's easier to do this when the wick is a little bit dry. But clip that wick with my handy dandy wick clipper and candle snuffer that I got. I got these, I think, in Alexandria, Virginia. They make great gifts. And so there you go. I might cut that back just a little bit more, just a little bit more. Like I say, this is easier to do when it's not wet. Okay, and I'm going to dig that little piece out, and then I'm going to relight it so that that wax melts evenly. And I think striking a match and lighting a candle is one of the, I don't know why it's so satisfying, but it's just,
it really is.
It is. It's just a simple little satisfying luxury. And especially when you're fairly ritualistic about it. I do this in the morning. As soon as I wake up, I make my coffee. This candle is front and center, so it's easy for me to remember, and now I've kind of gotten habituated to it, to blow it out before I leave. So it's symbolic to me of a seasonal change, and I think that's kind of a special thing anytime we have those seasonal ceremonial rituals. Okay, let's take a break here and then I'll show you a couple of other things. So here we go. Here's my outfit of the day from top to bottom. I have had these earrings for years and years, back to when I used to work at Oklahoma City University and was an educational consultant. So I have no idea where I got them. That's the truth. This top is a sweater that I bought on Amazon at my sister's suggestion. She bought it in black. I bought it in white because I've got a lot of skirts and things that are kind of, I'm going to try to do a winter white thing this year. Now, what I like about this is it's not too heavy. It is light enough so that while it's still kind of warm out, it feels good. But by the same token, when I wake up in the morning and I'm kind of chilled, that's nice too. And I love the kind of elevated Chanel-esque look of the pearl buttons. Now you can wear it kind of as a top like I'm doing. I've just got a flesh colored cami underneath it so I don't have to button it all the way up to the top, but it would look cute over a blouse, over something a little bit where you wanted just a few more layers maybe than what I've got on right now. And I think they look really kind of elevated with just leggings. Now what I love about this ensemble, you guys, is that sometimes I have time to exercise in the morning. Sometimes I don't. Well, this way I can go ahead and get dressed. Stuart and I, we can shoot. I can run to appointments. I can do whatever I need to do and look pretty nice in the process. And then when I get home, I can just take off this nice top. I can just put on a t-shirt and some tennis shoes, and I'm good to go to get on the treadmill. So that's what I love about leggings like this that are kind of, well, they're nice looking and they're not completely in the direction of athleisure. And then I love these shoes. I showed them to you yesterday. I just got these. I love these two-tone flats. I will put a link below, but they're so comfortable. And I am to the point now where if shoes aren't comfortable and I can't walk in them to, you know, head to my favorite bookstore or something like that, I'm not going to get them. So let's see, what else do I have, Stuart? Am I forgetting anything? Actually, my ring ensemble. This was a real popular thing, I think, last year. And, you know, it's one of those things you see in InStyle magazine where Jennifer Aniston had bought it and things like that. And then I've just got a little assemblage of bracelets on from all over the place. And this one I especially love with the sweet bird on it from Janet Mavick's Orchard Line Jewelry. So there you go. There's my outfit du jour. Okay, here's another kind of silly, but I think important tip. And that is whenever you are buying any kind of orchid or container plant or whatever from Trader Joe's, actually just about anywhere, and it comes in some kind of container vessel, make sure that you really like the container vessel in addition to the plant itself. And sometimes, you know, you can switch out a plant and put it into a different container that you know you'll like and you'll use. And I remember having gotten this one at Trader Joe's that had a succulent in it. So it has kind of a Halloween autumnal vibe to me, so I pulled it out, and the remains of the chrysanthemums in this fabulous, fabulous deep bloody red that, by the way, is the perfect color echo to, yes, don't fall out of your chair, a manicure that I have. I treated myself to a manicure. So that was kind of fun. Something else that I did is I switched the lamps around. So the lamps, if you want to just slowly torque, Stuart, the lamps that were in the parlor, I should say, those used to be in my bedroom. And the ones that were in the parlor are now in my bedroom. So I just switched those out for kind of a seasonal change because the ones that had previously been in there, I thought just seemed to be a little bit more appropriate to the vibe I've got going in my bedroom now that I've switched out. Yes, I did switch out my bedding. You see here, now Stuart, I still do have treats for you. There's still some biscotti and some other things. But you'll notice that my bouquet of suckers that I have for the kiddos is getting a little smaller because I've had lots of kiddos who have come by, and whenever they come by, they can with their parents' permission, they can have a sucker. So I just, look, it looks kind of cute in this dead people stuff that we visited earlier in there. Another thing here of just that branching, some of which I cut earlier, some gilded kind of brass pumpkins that I think kind of matches.
As you add more and more of those branches around, they kind of add to, each one kind of makes the other one more valid.
Right. It's just like in the garden. It's the rhythm and repetition of a design element across a space. And that's probably my favorite design principle. So here I have used it with those pear branches, but you'll notice that I also used it in the coloring of the cut flowers. Those that were in there are repeated in here and even in the foliage of this little house plant. And I think that makes your decor look cohesive as you move from one place to the next and from one room to the next. And now that this is all, I don't know, it's kind of staged the way I want it for fall, then that makes me more inclined to want to bake in here. And I have really been watching more TV lately. And I have to tell you what I've been a little bit consumed with. And that is the Phantom of the Opera. Oh, wow. Now, yeah, so some of you, and this is my recommendation, what I am watching now. And yesterday I thought, as I was piddling, getting ready, piddling. I know you guys in the UK are laughing at me. As I was puttering around the cottage to get ready for you, my visitors, I thought, oh my goodness, I just want something really different and put it on. And there have been certain times in my life when I have, and it always seems to be in the fall, when I have listened to, watched, put on the soundtrack or whatever to the Phantom of the Opera. And whenever I listen to the Phantom of the Opera, it reminds me of Southern Living magazine. They came for a garden shoot at my other house, my friend Jean and Ralph. It was such a fun shoot. And while I was getting ready for the shoot, I listened to the Phantom of the Opera. But I digress. What I wanted to tell you about is if you are looking for something to watch, go to YouTube on your TV and watch the version, I think it was done in 2014, I'm not 100% sure, of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera in Albert Hall. And it will say, and Stuart, right here, I took a screenshot of my TV to make sure that you watch the right one. And it's the full show of the Phantom of the Opera. The production was unbelievable. But what was so fun was at the end, Lloyd Webber came out, as did like 4 or 5 of the performers who have been the Phantom in the past. And they all sang, and each one looked so different from one another, not only in their appearance, but even in, some were tenors and some were baritones. Fascinating. And if you watch it, this is some homework and a challenge. If you watch it, watch till the end and tell me which one of the Phantoms you found the most compelling. They were, like I say, they were all different, and then I'll reveal which. They were all great, but I'll reveal which one I liked the best. They were all kind of sexy. They were all, it's kind of a sexy performance. Anyhow, just watch it. It also had different Christinas. It was absolutely fabulous. So I didn't mean to spend that much time, but obviously I am enthused about it, and I encourage you, if you just want an absolutely lovely distraction where you will find yourself singing and dancing in your own kitchen as you are puttering, then I highly recommend it. Okay, before we go back into my bedroom area, let's torque and show the corner of the banquette, because I switched out some of those pillows. Things that were linen and in plaid before, some of them remain, but a number of them have been switched out to those that are more velveteen or whatever. And I didn't point out to you, this is actually a throw rug right here. I love it. I love it because I will be able to use it on both sides. And when I bought it, I thought I will use it definitely as a tablecloth. But I got this yesterday at the museum gift shop at the Myriad Gardens. I guess it's not really a museum, but the gift shop at the Myriad Gardens downtown. And I absolutely love it. And I love to shop in museum gift shops, in botanical garden gift shops, because I think they have the most interesting things. Okay, now we can come this way. And I switched out my bedding. So you may recall that I had some different kind of bedding on it in the past. Both versions are Pottery Barn. And if you wait for a minute, Stuart, just kind of hang out. If you are trying to remember what kind of bedding I had in the past, it looked like this. And again, I got it from Pottery Barn. I don't think it's available anymore. Sadly, some of you have asked me. But I had the comforter and all of the shams and everything. And I loved it, and it was a little bit more appropriate to the hot weather season. But I like the richness of this. I like the way it looks with those gold lamps that I moved from the parlor. I love the way it looks with the drapes that were already here, and of course it doesn't hurt to have a topiary wherever you are. It helps you sleep better, I think. It really helps put you to sleep. And then I have moved in You move my pink cloth. I'm starting to move in a number of my topiaries from outside in the garden because pretty soon they're going to have to come in as we approach first frost. And they love this south window, and I love bathing to the company of topiary. So good exposure for them, and they're happy here. And that's what's going on.
They can see all their friends outside.
You can see, yes, I can see all of my friends outside. I can see all of the different pollinators. Yeah, it's kind of fun for me. Okay, let's take a break and then we'll go back and I'll show you the great room. Well, hopefully you guys don't mind yet another tour of the cottage, but you guys keep asking me. We haven't seen the cottage for a while, so I am here. I am here to serve. Now, this is one of the funnest things for me because it reminds me about how I felt, how excited I was the first time I saw the cottage.
Me too.
And we will not let you go into my husband's messy, messy bedroom, but round the corner. And I had guests the other night who had not seen the cottage before. And when you round the corner and you come in here and you see the size of the great room, it always kind of makes people gasp a little bit. And I think that's kind of fun because even though the scale doesn't necessarily match the rest of the parlor or the rest of the house, of the cottage, I think it's nevertheless still fun, and it's very, very, very functional. So not a lot going on in here. Things are pretty much the same other than it just looks cozy. I have had these huge weathered gourds for years. They are one of my very, very favorite things, and I pull them out most every fall. In addition, look,
Is that the same one?
Yes, I save some of these really large leaves that I shellacked a little bit, and I just love the way they look, as if they had just blown into this mound of beautiful gourd sitting out in the field. So I just did that, definitely. And by the way, you guys, I got this firewood holder. Yeah, firewood holder and firewood carrier and fireplace tool set right here. I got this online and I absolutely love it. Hubs loves it. You don't even have to bend over to put wood in place or to toss another log on the fire. And it's gotten cool enough. So the past 3 mornings we've been able to have a fire in the morning, and it's really, really been nice. And the pinon just smells incredible. Now I need to not use it all up because I need to save some for my solo fire pit in the back. Big development here at the cottage, Stuart. You're in on it, but some of you may not. And that is, in his retirement, Hubs has started taking guitar lessons. And he's a little bit of a natural musician, I think, but he has started taking guitar lessons and
Picked up a Martin.
yeah, and maybe even some voice lessons. Why? So he can sing around the campfire when he goes fishing and hiking and camping on all of his adventures. And then some of you, if you follow me long enough, you might recognize this boo pillow that I got on one of our thrifting adventures. We haven't been thrifting for a while, Stuart. We need to go thrifting. It's almost the holiday season, and I might do some gifting thrifting. And then it's just a nice view of the back garden. Pretty soon, a lot of those things will not be there anymore as it gets cold and they need to come in or they go into the greenhouse. But for right now, I have the best of both worlds. It's cool enough to light a fire and it be very, very cozy inside, and yet it is warm enough and cool enough to be able to light a fire outside and just really, really enjoy the season, because that's kind of what fall is all about, don't you think?
Yep.
Yep. So let me know what kind of things you guys do. And like I say, at the end, I'm going to show you a trick that came to me as I was cleaning up the cottage for you guys. Okay, Stuart, you haven't seen this trick yet either. And it might be a little crazy, and if it's kind of crazy or nutty, you guys call me out on it. But as I have shared with you ad nauseum, those spotted cucumber beetles have really been my nemesis recently. And as I was cleaning up some of the red-shouldered bugs that sometimes come into the parlor from that soapberry tree, and I zapped them up with my dust buster, I thought, I wonder if I could use the dust buster on the cucumber beetles out here. And that would be organic and it would be effective. Can you see there's one right there, Stuart? And since I pulled up the dahlias, they've moved to the roses. You have to hold it in place long enough to really catch them. And look, I caught it. Now, like some of you, I could get obsessed doing this. Get obsessed. Now, how do I know I've caught them and they haven't just flown away? Because I can see them in here. Just like the mouse and just like the praying mantis that I zapped up with my dust buster. Who knew that a dust buster could really be so wonderful for pest control?
Out there vacuuming her garden.
Vacuuming her garden. And there is a technique to this, you guys. The technique is start it, go to it, and you have to hold it there in place for a minute for it to suck up. So while we've been out here, I think I've gotten like 5. I'm not worrying about the little the little dish of soapy water as I hand pick them and put them in the soapy water, because most of the time I would do that, they would fly away. This, they literally don't see what's coming. Now, okay, Stuart here, can it work on this grasshopper?
Oh man.
That was a twofer. That was a twofer. I got a grasshopper and I got a spotted cucumber beetle. And look, you can see, can you see them? Well, you may not be able to, but they're crawling around in there. Okay, do you know how satisfying that is to me?
Hey, buddy.
Do we have a little buddy out here?
Well, I had a bee that was hanging on my arm. I want to make sure you understood.
And the other thing is, I have noticed that as I'm zapping up the beetles, it doesn't even seem to be scaring off the bees. So those of you that were so concerned about my using neem oil in close proximity to the bees, this is an even better proposition. And I can come out and I can do this at any time of day, unlike spraying, which had to be done at certain points of the day. It kind of plays to my kind of obsessive tendencies, and it's organic. Now, one thing I need to do is immediately take these inside, and I will empty out, look, can you see the grasshopper in there? I will empty out the context. Oh, look, the butterfly. I'll empty out the contents into a plastic bag and immediately dispense of them. And I don't have to use any chemicals. I don't have to bend down. I don't have to have soapy water. And tell me if you think I'm crazy or a little bit ingenious. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this cottage tour and my gardening hack to attack garden pests. See you guys later and take care.